Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is deidre-ann Anderson and I just made USA Today bestsellers list, baby. So just quick note before I even get into the video, if you haven't already checked out the Descent anthology, you should probably do so. You'll get access to over 150 brand new, never before published stories from a bunch of your favorite romance authors. And it hit the USA Today bestsellers list. So if you want to read good material, go ahead and support the Descent anthology. All proceeds will be going to charity, so believe me when I say it's going to great causes. All right, now back to my video. My name is deidre-ann Anderson. I publish romance with a hint of suspense and black girls that kick ass. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, go ahead and subscribe to my channel below. Hit the like button so I know that you'll support my channel and like my content. Today we'll be discussing imposter syndrome as well as comparison. Comparison isn't a syndrome, but let's call it comparison syndrome for what it is, because it can be chronic just like an illness. So if you want to know how I deal with comparison, if I struggle with comparison, or even imposter syndrome, stay tuned. Okay, so if you aren't aware, imposter syndrome in general terms means that you tell yourself you're not good enough. So you believe that whatever accolade that you've received, you don't deserve it. You tell yourself that you didn't really finish that book, or you finished the book but it's not that great, or no one will ever read it, or no one will like your content. It's basically putting down yourself, making yourself believe that the things that you're accomplishing aren't really, like, you don't deserve them, aren't really yours to claim. Now, comparison, on the other hand, is basically comparing your career or yourself or your activity to someone else's. So, for example, you're comparing yourself to an author that has been publishing for 10 years when you're just starting. So that author is probably earning 6-7 figures a year while you're just getting $300. So you tell yourself you're not good enough. Now, today we're going to be diving into some tips that you can use to deal with both these situations and what I do to deal with them. So let's get started. I'll start with imposter syndrome because why not? I struggle with imposter syndrome daily. Imposter syndrome basically gets me into a writing slump, and it keeps me there. And it's just something, if you don't deal with it, you can't get out of it. Now, personal experience, I remember last year, about 3 months, I was in a writing slump. I could not write. I would get ideas, but I just could not sit to put words on the page because I had convinced myself that no one wanted to hear my stories. No one wanted to hear my words. So it wasn't that I didn't have ideas. I had ideas. I just couldn't bring myself to write because I convinced myself that no one wanted to hear that story because it wasn't in the normal genre. No one would even consider reading it. Or worse, that I would read it and get reviewed bombed because I wasn't good at what I was doing. Of course, that is not the truth, and I have a bunch of reviews to say otherwise, but I just convinced myself that that was the case. Now, there are valid times to feel like an imposter. I got a quote from Courtney from the Courtney Project on her channel that she heard from someone else. And that's basically that imposters don't get imposter syndrome. If you were an actual imposter, you wouldn't be feeling imposter syndrome because there'd be nothing to put yourself down for. But you are worth it. You wrote that book. You sat down daily or every other day or every week and put words on that page. So you deserve everything that you get. People will read your story. There's no doubt about that. You'll find your audience. It may not happen next year. It may not happen immediately. It may not happen till 20 years down the line, but people will eventually find your story. There is an audience for every single story that you write. So whether you're writing to market, writing to trends, or just writing what's in your heart, your story will get readers. Whether it's 10 readers or 10,000 readers is a different story, but your readers will be out there. Your words are worth being said, and you should write that story. Now, if you're feeling like an imposter, here are some things that I do to help myself, right? So, for example, if you're not able to get out of that funk, one, write something else. Start writing on a different project, something outside of your comfort zone. Maybe writing in something else will actually prompt you to say, hey, I'm really good enough. I'm great. Go back and read your published works, or if you haven't published yet, read something that you wrote a year ago and read through it and say, hey, see how much you've improved. You've improved every single time you write, you improve. So read through it and remind yourself that you're good at what you're doing. And if you did it before, then you damn well sure can do it again. So read something that you already wrote. Tell yourself self-praise. Look in the mirror and tell yourself daily, you are beautiful, you are worth it, you are talented, and you're good at what you're doing. And nothing can take that away from you. So stay with me. We'll do it right now. Look at me, look at you, and I'm telling you, you are beautiful, you are worth it, you are talented, and nothing can take that away from you. Or no one can take that away from you either. So if you have to tell yourself that every morning and remind yourself, if you have to put it on a plaque on your wall in front of your desk, then do it, because you are worth it, and nothing and no one can take that away from you. Okay, so that was basically how I deal with imposter syndrome. Let me know below in the comments, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Do you struggle with imposter syndrome? When was the last time you struggled with imposter syndrome, and what were the things or the steps you did to overcome it? Share it below, because I know that it will help someone else in the comments. Now we're going to move to comparisons, because I struggle with comparing myself. I did it when I just started. I still find myself doing it today in all aspects of life. And it can be toxic. Comparison can be healthy, and I'll walk through when it can be healthy too. But in most cases, it's toxic, and we should avoid it. So here's a scenario. You just started publishing. You just published your first book, right? You take the advice of everyone around you and you go and join some Facebook groups. You join Facebook writing groups where you're listening to everyone share their successes and share the things that they're going through, the things they've achieved, right? In most of these groups, they publish their successes. Not many people are publishing their failures or their mistakes. They don't make that public. So you're seeing everyone around you achieving, earning $1 million, earning 6 figures, earning a massive amount of money. And then you see the outliers who published their very first book and made a massive amount of money. Then you start thinking, hey, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not earning that much? Or did my book suck? And then it leads to imposter syndrome. You see how those two are connected? Because you're not getting what everyone else is getting. You tell yourself that it's because you're not good enough. But that's not necessarily the case. How much money has that person spent in ads? You don't know. How long has that person been writing? You don't know. Has that person written their book to market versus you that may not even be in a genre specific, has not written a genre specific book? What are the differences between you guys? Now, here's how comparison can be healthy. Now, if you look at all those accolades and all those successes that the other author has gotten and say to yourself, okay, what are the techniques that they use to become successful? Did they put their book wide? Did they have their book exclusive to KU? Are they in the same genre that you are in? If so, what are the trends that they used on their cover? Now, don't go copying people's covers and ideas and marketing and brand now. That's a completely different thing. We don't want to copy people now. But if you study what they did to be successful or what they do to get to where they are, instead of saying, oh, you're not good enough, then that comparison can be a little bit healthy because it's helping you to study the market. You're doing research to better yourself, right? That can work with social media, book covers. Be sure that these people are writing in your same genre. So if you're not writing in the same genre, then the audiences you're targeting will not be the same. So you don't want to do this with someone that's writing fantasy if you're writing romance. That would make sense. And even in romance, you want to ensure that the subgenres line up. So if someone is writing paranormal romance, for example, and you're writing contemporary, then the marketing techniques used or the people that you're targeting would be different. So comparing yourself to that person wouldn't make sense. That would just become toxic, right? Because you'll never be able to achieve what they've achieved with those same steps. However, if you have a conversation with them, most times when you see people, if you're comparing yourself to them and you would like to get to where they are, if you reach out to them in a non-stalkerish way and say, hey, I am new in the industry and I really admire what you've achieved, and I'd just like to find out if there are any pointers that you would give to a first-time author or any tips that you could provide, then you'd be surprised how nice some of these people are. You'd have people that actually reach out to you. Now, you don't go and Courtney calls it drive-by marketing. Don't go and drive by every single author you see and send them the same messages over and over and over again. That doesn't work. Be a human. Contact these people, be personable, and really only contact people you have an interest in. Don't compare yourself to random people that you have no interest in, that doesn't even write your genre. That pick people that are close to what you write. A. B. Pick people that they have a presence online. You see that they're personable and you see that they are easy to contact. Then send them an email, and do not expect an email right away. You are in this industry as well. Maybe you haven't published yet, or maybe you don't understand that writers are busy people. Oftentimes, if they're not writing, they're marketing. If they're not marketing, they're dealing with PR, or they're doing something else that pertains to their own career. Answering you is not an obligation for them. It's a courtesy. So if you don't get a response right away, then that's okay. You may get a response 3 months down the line, and then you do have people that just don't check their emails as often. But you did your best. You can be content that you did your best. You reached out to these people, and you, whether or not you get a specific response, you know that you did your best. And then you can still go and study their books and study their brand online. Remember, don't copy their brand, but you can use the tips from their brand to build your own. So these are just some of the tips that I've used with comparison, how I've turned my comparison syndrome from being toxic to helpful to my career. Now, let me know if these tips work for you down in the comments. And don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a like so I know that this video helped you and that you were entertained or learned something from what I've said. All right, that's all for this video. Again, go ahead and drop a comment below so I know what you thought, the tips you use. Go ahead and help a sister out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit the thumbs up button so that you can be notified every time I post. Until next time, be kind. Talk to you soon. Bye.